against Bitcoin.
It's going up forevermore.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. We are back. Bullish news. If you guys have been associated with Bitcoin Twitter, or rather social media, finance Twitter, FinTwit, then you know how bullish it is when Jim Kramer endorses, or rather is bearish on things. And we finally got the inverse Kramer. Jim Kramer yesterday went out on, I believe it was CNBC. It was actually Squawk Box, and said that he would not touch crypto. Now, on one hand, I obviously agree. Do not touch Bitcoin. And we have a great show explaining why it is Bitcoin over everything else. And of course, but when we hear anyone on corporate media talk about crypto, they are always indefinitely talking about Bitcoin. It is always, they say crypto, but they really mean Bitcoin, and they lump it all together. Well, Jim Kramer, I am really hoping that this is the final thing we need for the bull run to commence. Shouts out to Jim Kramer for saying what we know. And so you guys know, there is the inverse Kramer ticker, the inverse Kramer ETF. So if this doesn't get you bullish that we are on the right course, I really don't know what will. Shouts out to Jim Kramer. I actually might tell you a funny story later on, but it is Bitcoin, not crypto. And when he says anything negative towards a stock, it usually implodes. Of course, Bitcoin isn't a stock, but I just love hearing him say, I would not touch Bitcoin, rather crypto. And we got a good video for you guys. It's a short one, and I'm going to supplement that with another clip, the opposite, the flip side. We got another clip of Paul Tudor Jones, literal billionaire investor, saying the exact opposite on Squawk Box, that he is bullish on Bitcoin. And of course, he does like gold. Rather, he's bullish on hard money, considering where we are right now in the whole macroeconomic landscape. As we always say, you might want to get some Bitcoin just in case it catches on. Anyways, in the news, we saw a Fidelity report drop last week. I believe it was last week, towards the end of the week. We didn't have enough time to cover it. And it's absolutely bullish on Bitcoin. And it's saying what we say all the time. There's Bitcoin and there's crypto. And this article, this report rather, is titled Bitcoin First Revisited, Why Investors Need to Consider Bitcoin Separately from Other Digital Assets. Now, of course, I don't really like the framing of digital assets, but this report thoroughly explained why Bitcoin is the big kahuna in the digital asset space and why it is head and tail above the rest. And I'm not going to go through the whole article, but I would highly recommend you read it. And I got some TLDR Spark Notes for you guys, but it really, really reads like a Bitcoin maxi article. And let's not forget how big of an asset manager Fidelity is. So I've been saying this for a while on the show, guys. This bear market is setting up like it's going to be a perfect storm heading into the halving and heading into the inevitable bull run that we will see roughly around, end of 2024, 2025. All the things I'm seeing, guys. It has never been a better time to hold Bitcoin, to start stacking Bitcoin. The risk of Bitcoin is starting to dwindle, and more people are waking up to the idea that you need to hold some Bitcoin, especially considering all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Anyways, we'll get into all that. Welcome to Simply Bitcoin. We are your #1 source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, and memetic warfare. We bring on Bitcoiners from all around the world, from the biggest names to the everyday Bitcoiner. We got them all, and we will be your guide through the separation of money and state. As you can tell, your boy Opti's handling the hosting, but I'm not alone. I'm here with Dell, the funky hodl sapien. Dell, how are you doing this morning? What's going on over there?
Chilled, relaxed, rested up. I'm not sure if I'm moisturized, but maybe I can get on that later.
Soon. All right, guys. Well, we got a lot of news for you guys, a lot of signal for you guys. So let's get right into it.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stampseed.
Of course, guys, you can scan the QR code, go directly to Stampseed's website, and get yourself a Stampseed kit. As we told you guys, we are coming close to that 21K number of YouTube subscribers, guys. So we will be doing a giveaway of a Simply Bitcoin theme Stampseed. But get yourself a kit, guys. They're beautiful. You need to make sure you don't have your seed phrase in a piece of paper on your sock drawer. Anyways, let's get into the numbers. We're over here on Clark Moody's dashboard. And of course, my favorite number, which is why it's on the top of my numbers, is the block height. TikTok next block. It's almost like Bitcoin works as designed. We are currently at block height of 811,725. Honey Badger don't care. Blocks keep coming in roughly every 10 minutes. The Bitcoin price is, wow, okay. The Bitcoin price is at 26,660. I guess we are going down a little bit, but Bitcoin's still a stable coin. It's been in this 25 to 27K range for what, like 3 months or something. Who knows how long the crab market is going to last, but all it means is that you can stack some more sats before the price starts to run. The Moscow time, aka the sats per dollar, aka how much Bitcoin you can buy for a single dollar, aka how much your fiat dollar is worth. It's currently at 3,751 sats per dollar, or 375 bits to trigger the chat. And the total percentage of Bitcoin that will ever be issued is 92.9%, slowly but surely inching up every single day. The total market cap in fiat terms is $520.2 billion. The realized monetary inflation, taking fiat currencies to school, is 1.74%. The Bitcoin versus gold market cap is 4.12%. Still so much room to run in the hard money gang. Remember that the gold market cap is roughly around $10 trillion, and we're at what, $500 billion, $500 billion. If you aren't bullish on Bitcoin moving forward, you really aren't paying attention. Anyways, the total public lightning capacity is currently at 5,167.69 BTC. The hash rate the last 90 days, it's been going parabolic, guys. So the hash rate the last 90 days is 397.3 exahashes, and the pending fees is only at 1.05 BTC. It's almost like the wizards have not broken Bitcoin. Anyways, like I told you guys, on today's numbers, I do have a few clips for you. The first one is a little trolly. Really, this might seem like noise, but it seems like no matter what Jim Kramer touches goes down, and everything he's bearish on goes up. So if we are activating an inverse Kramer moment right now at the very bottom of a bear market, it is looking like we are going up forever, Laura. Here we got BTC Therapist. He goes, Kramer says Bitcoin is going down. Bull market activated. There's a few telltale signs that we need for a bull market to commence. It's usually there needs to be an influencer sacrifice. Obviously, metaphorically, an influencer needs to go down, get Bitcoin derangement syndrome. And then we need a Jim Kramer inverse indication. And we got one. So if you are still feeling the pain of the Bitcoin price going sideways, just listen to this bullish signal by Jim Kramer himself.
Can't be in something that where Mr. Bitcoin is about to go down big. I would not touch crypto in a million years. These people who own these things should not own them. They shouldn't own them. I do think you're an idiot. Okay? Can't be.
Okay, first and foremost, Mr. Bitcoin going down. Just love to hear it. It's hilarious to hear this. But as I always say on the show, it is Bitcoin and there is shit coins. And they are two totally different things. And we'll break this down in the news today. But just love to hear it. And to his to his point, I wouldn't be touching crypto either. And if you are holding crypto, I'm not going to be as mean as Jim Kramer and call you an idiot. But I just love him calling all of us Bitcoiners idiots. This is like the latest evolution of everything we are as Bitcoin. Remember, we're financial terrorists. We're illiterate Bitcoin maxis. We don't know what's going on. It just seems like we really do know what's happening. And the reason I'm going to double up these videos today for the numbers is because on the flip side, we have Paul Tudor Jones on Squawk Box saying what we understand. And I didn't verify for you guys, but I'm almost sure that Paul Tudor Jones has a higher net worth than Jim Kramer. And even though he's probably shorting all the stocks he tells you to be buying and longing all the stocks he tells you to be bearish on, it's almost like there's an inside joke in regards to Jim Kramer on television. Paul Tudor Jones is saying what we all know to be true as Bitcoiners. He's bullish on Bitcoin. He's looking at all the macroeconomic signals, and he is concerned that we might be going into a recession, or rather, we might already be in a recession if they didn't fiddle with all the numbers to hoodwink and gaslight the normies out there so they don't know what's going on. Anyways, documenting BTC right here goes, Paul Tudor Jones is worth $8.1 billion and pioneered the modern hedge fund industry. And he says, I think Bitcoin takes on a larger percentage of your portfolio. I like Bitcoin. So this one's a little longer. Let's listen to this one because there is a lot of signal here. And of course, it's coming from a hefty investor. So I don't know, pick your poison. Do you listen to Jim Kramer calling you an idiot because you're holding Bitcoin, or do you listen to Paul Tudor Jones embracing Bitcoin? Well, let's just hear what he says.
I said I wanted to talk about Robinhood, but I also just looked on the screen behind you and I saw the price of Bitcoin. And I know every time we've spoken, you've had a take on Bitcoin. Do you have a new take? Still holding?
I think now the barbarous relics, and I would lump gold and Bitcoin together. I think they probably take on a larger percentage of your portfolio than historically they would, because we're going to go through both a challenging political time here in the United States, and we're going to go through, we've obviously got a geopolitical situation. So I would say...
But high interest rates were supposed to be the thing that was actually going to be unhelpful to Bitcoin.
Well, and I think on a relative basis, look what's happened to gold. It actually has been. Clearly, it suppressed it. So you know that more likely than not, we're going to go into recession. There's some pretty clear-cut recession trades. The easiest are the yield curve gets really steep, term premium goes into the back ends of debt markets, right, into 30-year, 10-year, and 7-year paper. The stock market typically, right before a recession, declines about 12%. That's probably going to happen at some point from some level. And you look at the big shorts in gold, more likely than not, in a recession, the market's typically really long assets like Bitcoin and gold. So there's probably a $40 billion worth of buying that has to come in to gold at some point between now and if that recession actually occurs. So yeah, I like Bitcoin and I like gold right here.
Love to hear it. And everyone in the chat's like, who cares about what these people are saying? Well, for better or worse, guys, people listen to them. First of all, I really don't get this, but Jim Kramer has some sense of legitimacy because he's on corporate news. He's on the television. He's got a suit. He seems to be, as most people believe, a respectable source in regards to investments. And it just really blows my mind. And let me just share a little story, guys. I might have said this on the show before, and then I'll kind of touch in on the Tudor Jones before I pass it over to Dell. Before I found Bitcoin, I was looking for ways to invest. I tried to get I forget what it was, like a Charles Schwab account, and I needed like $2,500 to even start an account. And I was like, this is why I wanted to invest. I have a couple $100. I want to put it somewhere so that it increases, so I am not as broke as I am. And I knew one of my friends was low-key very interested in investing. And so I asked him, I was like, yo, can you give me the basics? I'm trying to learn this. I want to better myself. I know you're interested in this. I know your dad, it's kind of helped you invest since you were pretty young. So we hung out, we got some lunch, and I went over to his house afterwards, and he's all like, all right, bro, you know what you need to do? You need to sit down with my boy, Jim Kramer, watch his show. It's the best show. And in hindsight, that was like 6 years ago. I'd never forget that moment, because then I fell down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. I learned all the stuff that we know to be true. You know, I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, Bitcoin scarcity, hard cap, censorship resistant, that you want to own something outside of the traditional legacy system, what's going on in the macro world, what's going on with traditional finance. And I'll never forget the fact that my friend was endorsing Jim Kramer. I'd never heard about the inverse Jim Kramer ETF. I never knew about Jim Kramer as a talking head being basically the best counter indicator you can find. And so I just find it hilarious. And yes, maybe we don't care, guys. I know you guys are all, well, for the most part, independent thinkers on Twitter. You guys have your finger on the pulse, but people still listen to him. And for better or worse, Jim Kramer just pumping our bags, boys. Bullish on Jim Kramer, reverse indicator. But let's get into the Paul Tudor Jones. He's basically been saying what we've been saying a lot on Bitcoin Twitter, the idea that it seems like we are going into a recession. Rather, it seems like we might already be in a recession. All the indicators are pointing towards a very unhealthy economy, and you want to hold something outside of the system. Remember the Hayek quote: the only way we're going to fix this is by building a parallel system outside of the traditional financial world. Well, there's only a few hard assets that you can own that are outside of the traditional financial world. Of course, you can do real estate, but that's still linked to traditional finance. There is gold, but in my opinion, gold is outdated tech for the digital world. It is not designed for sending across the globe on the internet. I wish I could send gold through these Wi-Fi tubes to you, but you can't. So for most people, and I would say for all people, the best way to hold on to a hard asset is by slowly but surely investing into Bitcoin. And, you know, when we talk about Bitcoin on the show, when you guys talk about Bitcoin to your friends and family, you don't have the legitimacy that, say, a Paul Tudor Jones does. You know, he's got $8 billion of net worth. He revolutionized the hedge fund business. So when he talks, people listen. And I know it's a big news for us in Bitcoin. And right now, no one's really listening to Bitcoin because it's the depth of a bear market. But it really just goes to show, to me personally, that we are seeing so many awesome tailwinds in this bear market. I've said it all the time on the show. This is looking to being the most bullish bear market we've had yet. And Bitcoin is constantly in the public press. It's constantly in the corporate press. I saw Narwhal Tacos talk on the show, and he goes, in the chat rather, he goes, years ago, they would avoid Bitcoin like the plague. And now they go on financial investment television shows and they have to have an answer to Bitcoin. And it goes with the theme we've been constantly saying on the show, that Bitcoin is becoming the defining topic in public consciousness. Yes, right now, we've gotten beaten up this bear market. Yes, we know the Bitcoin market cap is only $500 billion. It's less than Apple as a corporation. And once we start crossing that $1 trillion market cap, once we start heading towards that $10 trillion market cap that is gold, it is going to be unavoidable. It's going to be the elephant in the room, and everyone will have to, one, reevaluate their Bitcoin position, and two, have a stance on Bitcoin. And you know our stance, it is Bitcoin or slavery. And we believe every single person out there, every individual should own some Bitcoin, especially if you are saving in dollars. You can't save in dollars, guys. And now we're seeing, as we saw in the last couple of years, some of the wealthiest asset managers in the world are looking to Bitcoin because they understand what we understand. The traditional financial world is shaky. You cannot be saving in dollars. And I just saw some signal coming out of the Swan Private team from the guys that are talking to high net worth individuals. And it's super bullish that most of those people aren't on Bitcoin Twitter, guys. So you are not interacting with the amount of capital that is either sitting on the sidelines that's trying to get a position. And to the Jim Kramer point, we all know the basic blueprint. You FUD Bitcoin, you stack your bags privately, you embrace Bitcoin, and then rocket ship, get on board.
Rocket ship, get on board.
Anyways, Dal, what's your thoughts on all this stuff?
I think that what you just said there kind of sparked an idea at the very end there. You were saying how there's capital kind of sitting on the sidelines, and that's so true. I've been trying to stack. I wouldn't say as hard as I possibly could. I've definitely spent some money on a few other things. Like you have to pay rent, you got to pay bills, but I also like to go to the occasional movie. My wife and I like to play Magic the Gathering, so we'll buy some cards for that or go to the occasional event. But most of my expendable income goes into Bitcoin for sure. And it has changed my perspective and try to put in as much as I can realistically into Bitcoin. I didn't really have that option before. Well, I did, but I didn't know about it. It's like, if you don't know about a thing, then is it really an option? Like, it is, but you kind of have to know about it. My point here is that even though I have stacked pretty hard. The stack that I have is nowhere near the size of somebody else I know. I was talking to somebody else, personal, I don't know, I don't want to dox him, but I know this person quite well. And I talked to him about Bitcoin. They weren't interested this time last year, around, I don't know, maybe a little over a year ago, but I kept on talking about it. I'd bring it up, it'd come up, it would kind of fluctuate in price. It was down in that 15 range. It went up a little bit higher. So over the course of multiple conversations, they eventually decided to get some. I got them set up with Swan, and they made a purchase that was no big deal to them, but it blew my stack completely out of the water. They just were like, yeah, I guess I'll put a little bit into this. And I mean, I don't know this person's financial situation, but because of the way Swan, what is it they call the Swan team or Swan Force?
Swan
Sorry,
Private.
no, Swan
Oh,
Force.
Swan
where,
Force.
yeah, if you reference somebody, then you get a little piece of that. You get 0.25%. So you can do the math. I increased how much I got. I didn't know exactly how much they purchased, but I multiplied the amount that I got by 4 to get to 1%, and then multiply that by 100. So I was like, okay, I now know roughly how much they purchased, and it was way more than I had purchased over just trying to stack. They just did it like that, just yeah, no big deal, no big deal at all. And then they made another purchase, same size, that was even bigger. There was so they purchased so much more in 2 just no big deal buys. It's like walking into a grocery store and there's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll buy a candy bar. Where I'm like, oh, I gotta get the chocolate and I gotta get the cream. I'm trying to sit there and trying to make a tiny little tasty treat, and they're just like, yeah, sure, just give me a case of chocolate bars. It's no big deal. So my point here is that there are people that Bitcoin is they don't need to know for them. Like we would like them to know all the values and all the different ways that it helps the world and the way that energy production and helps that yeah, it'd be great if they knew all those things because they'd probably stack even harder. But all they need to know is this a good thing? Should I put some money into this? And as soon as they get that tiny little switch, that tiny little spark to this bonfire that is sitting there, I think you'll just start to see more and more cracks in this dam, the dam that is holding back the world from going, yes, we need this thing. There's so much money. What is it? Something like $900 trillion in global money in all the real estate and bonds and gold, everything. All the money in the world is somewhere in the range of $900 trillion. If there's cracks right now, you and I are all tiny cracks, but soon, I truly believe that sometime in the next year, maybe right before the halving, according to some of these estimates of 3 to 6 months, it's the ETFs will just be a massive sledgehammer or sticks of dynamite in that dam. And you're going to see so much money flood into this because people go, oh, okay, I guess BlackRock's into it. This person's into it. Because back to that person that bought, the number one thing that I wouldn't say orange pilled them, but that got them to buy was showing them the website, who owns Bitcoin or they own Bitcoin. It's something like this. It's a bunch of
Like the corporate treasury one?
no, it's like all the popular it's like the Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, okay.
Ted Cruz, and it's all these big names. And I showed that to him and like, oh, Elon owns it, and Ted Cruz, and this person. These are people that I know of. I've seen them on TV, and I respect some of them. There's probably some people on there like, oh, I'm not sure about that person, but you see this, and you see a wave of people going this way. That's the thing. You and I, most of the people that are in Bitcoin, we're the kind of people that when we see an entire crowd going that way, we go, why are they going that way? Hang on, I'm going to watch from a distance. Maybe I'm going to go over here. But the rest of the world is the crowd type mentality. They go, oh, there's a huge line. I'm going to go this way. This happened. This happened to Opti and Sophie now when we were down in Southern California. We were looking for a taco thing and we saw a huge line of people. And then there was another one over there that had no line. I said, let's go to that one. And they're like, no. This is actually the one that we wanted to go to. I was like, are you sure? And they looked at the reviews like, yeah, this is the one that we meant to go to. Okay. And we asked people in line, is this the good taco place? Yes, it is. And it was actually really good. So sometimes it is right to go to where the line is. But Bitcoiners will go, what's over there? Why is that? And I think that we're getting closer to a point where the entire world is lined up to go to Bitcoin, and then the dams will be open, they'll be busted open, and you'll see huge flows coming into it. But yeah, just wait until these ETFs come through. It's gonna be wild. Like I think Preston Pish used the phrase, "It's going to rip people's faces off." I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I think we underestimate how much capital is really sitting on the sidelines and looking for alternatives. And we all know that Bitcoin is that alternative. And you were kind of reminding me, do you guys remember that it was like a meme of how crowds work? It's on YouTube. You can probably Google like how crowds work. And it's that video of like a guy at a festival and he's dancing alone. And then like another person starts dancing with him. And then a few more people start dancing with him. And then finally a floodgate of everyone starts dancing with them. And they basically started the party. And that's how human psychology works. Like, we are the early adopters of this. We are the pioneers of Bitcoin. And it's only going to take a few very convicted high net worth individuals to really move the price. And I've done a meme before. Like, if you think about how Bitcoin adoption works, there's an x-axis, which is all of us, DCA stackers, the really adamant Bitcoiners. You know, we take as much money and capital as we can from our paychecks, and we distribute the coins amongst a giant group of hodlers. Well, the vertical axis, guys, is the high net worth individuals, and that's how the price really starts running. The Bitcoin gets distributed amongst a lot of the DCA army, and then a few high net worth individuals get into the market, and the price really starts to run. And once the floodgates open, guys, it's going to get absolutely crazy. The gradually then suddenly meme, and hence why we keep telling you guys all the time on the show the last couple of weeks is to get your ducks in a row right now, because when it gets crazy, it gets crazy. And I know a lot of you guys are new to the space, and so you don't know what the FOMO manic feel of a bull market is, but it gets absolutely nuts. And I'm really convinced that this next bull run, and once that FOMO starts to kick in and the price starts to run again, it might be over 100K. Like, once it breaks over 100K, maybe that's the threshold. Maybe just when it breaks all-time high, we'll start to see some interest. Once it really gets into six figures, we will see a blow off top. And I know we all have PTSD from the last bull run, and we were trying to be conservative, and it was so long ago, and so much stuff happens in Bitcoin land that we forget how a bull run happens. And price, for better or worse, guys, is the scoreboard. And most people look at the price, and that's what they think about when they get into Bitcoin. I say it all the time, came for the money, stayed to fix the money. Most people get caught up in the FOMO of the price running, and then they start to learn everything on the back end. And this is where we are. We're seeing that behind the scenes, a lot of high net worth individuals are stacking. They want exposure. And like Del was saying, they are buying chunks at a time that will blow your stack out of the water. And so right now is the time to not take your foot off the gas. It's time to double down, sell all your chairs, as the meme goes, and continue to stack, continue to get your cold storage set up, run a node, make sure your UTXOs are set up, because when it gets crazy, it gets absolutely crazy. And it's looking like we are going to be going into a perfect storm, guys. So just be aware. It's not, Bitcoin isn't just on Bitcoin Twitter. And this is what we always talk about, breaking the echo chamber. Well, I think we are starting to see the first iterations of breaking that echo chamber. It's constantly in corporate press. We're seeing some big name individuals stack Bitcoin, embrace Bitcoin. And for better or worse, guys, most people, like Del was saying, they look to individuals and then they make their decisions on what's cool and what's not. Not everyone's a free thinking Bitcoiner like all of us. So you are still early, and this is the best time to be stacking. And I'm going to touch on that right now in the news. So let's get into the news.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more.
Before I get into the news for today, guys, make sure you guys go to Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, July 25th to 27th. We are going to be there. I am sure we will be hanging out, mingling. Hopefully I'm not in the back and I can't talk to you guys, but we just got back from Pacific Bitcoin Festival, and I got a lot of love from everyone out there, and I can't wait to see you guys in Nashville. I can't wait to take over Nashville, and we're telling you to buy this now. We know that's 6 months away, but every one of you guys FOMOs before the conference. You're like, I'm too cool to go to the conferences. I need to stack sats. Yes, stack sats first and foremost. And then secondly, guys, you want to come to these. If you've never been to a Bitcoin festival, you need to go to one so that you can remember that you're not the only crazy Bitcoiner. This is the way, guys. Remember, there's more of us out there than you can even imagine. Anyways, let's get into the news for today. All right, so we got this tweet the other day. It was Michael Saylor. Of course, it wasn't just Michael Saylor breaking the news, but I really like the tweet that he put right here. And he goes, Fidelity at Digital Assets explains why Bitcoin is a unique and superior form of money that investors should consider first and separate from all other digital assets. So I'm not going to break down this whole article because it is 23 pages, but I would highly recommend that you guys read this, especially as a Bitcoiner. Maybe you need to refresh why you hold Bitcoin, but really, this is one of those papers that you can send to your friends and family that, you know, listen to you rant about Bitcoin, but they're just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, you don't know what's going on. Like, you have no clue about the traditional financial world. Well, we got the paper by Fidelity Investments, and I'm going to go over their numbers of how much users use them, how many assets they have under control. And they are no small fry, guy. But the reason we think this is so important to talk about and why I would want you guys to reread it, because it really is a refresher on all the things we know as a Bitcoiner. And you can see here, the title is Bitcoin First Revisited, Why Investors Need to Consider Bitcoin Separately from Other Digital Assets. And you guys know me, I'm not really big on the idea of digital assets per se, but yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind. Dell's hit me in the chat. I'll drop that for you guys. But there's so much signal in this article. It probably takes you like 30 minutes to read. But the Fidelity paper touches on so many Bitcoin topics, and it really reads like a Bitcoin maxi paper that you've read from all your favorite Bitcoin influencers. And it just goes to show that there are some investment houses out there that understand Bitcoin like we understand it. They're not all VCs trying to get shitcoin exposure. They know what is going on. And I hate using the term smart money, but the smart money out there understands what we understand. And I'm just going to highlight, I wrote some notes here for you guys, and I will actually read this. Actually, let's just get into here. Let me just break down the high level summary, and then I will get to some of the notes that I took. So, background. In January 2022, we outlined Bitcoin's unique characteristics, why they make Bitcoin fundamentally different from other digital assets, and why this is important for investors to consider. Over a year and a half later, Bitcoin continues to gain adoption and market share in the digital asset space, while other digital assets have faced separate headwinds. While we encourage those seeking a detailed understanding of Bitcoin's unique value propositions to read the earlier overview, we aim to reiterate many of Bitcoin's fundamental advantages below while contextualizing Bitcoin's progress and position within today's current digital asset market. And here's the executive summary, and they back this up throughout the whole paper, but here's the high-level overview. Once investors have decided to invest in digital assets, the next question becomes, which one? Of course, Bitcoin is the most recognized first ever digital asset, but there are hundreds, even thousands of other digital assets in the ecosystem. One of the first concerns investors have regarding Bitcoin is, as the first digital asset, it may be vulnerable to innovative destruction from competitors, such as the story of MySpace and Facebook. Another common consideration surrounding Bitcoin is whether it offers the same potential reward or upside as some of the newer and smaller digital assets that have emerged. In this paper, we propose Bitcoin is best understood as a monetary good, and one of the primary investment thesis for Bitcoin is as a store of value asset in an increasingly digital world. Bitcoin is fundamentally different from any other digital asset. No other digital asset is likely to improve upon Bitcoin as a monetary good because Bitcoin is the most, relative to other digital assets, secure, decentralized, sound digital money, and any improvement, quote unquote, will potentially face trade-offs. There is not necessarily mutual exclusivity between the success of the Bitcoin network and other digital asset networks. Rather, the rest of the digital asset ecosystem can fulfill different needs or features solve other problems that Bitcoin simply does not. Allegedly, other non-Bitcoin projects should be evaluated from a different perspective than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin should be considered an entry point for traditional allocators looking to gain exposure to digital assets. Investors should hold two distinctly separate frameworks for considering investment in this digital asset ecosystem. The first framework examines the inclusion of Bitcoin as an emerging monetary good, and the second considers the addition of other digital assets that exhibit venture capital-like properties. And so this whole article, 23 pages, breaks down the difference between Bitcoin and other shitcoins, and it touches on so many Bitcoin topics that we'll talk about, Bitcoin only topics. And I just wrote down some of them without going through the whole article. It touches on the good properties of money, why Bitcoin will be the winner takes all of the digital asset space, comparing it to fiat, comparing it to gold, why Bitcoin is decentralized. Like I said yesterday, is because there's so many node runners. It talks about its network effects, why Bitcoin cannot be stopped, why nothing will even come close to Bitcoin's network effects. It even touches on Lindy effects, how the idea, the longer something is around, the longer something's been around, the longer it will be around. It touches on anti-fragility. You know, the meme we stole from Nassim Taleb, it basically shows that with all the attacks Bitcoin has faced, with all of the crazy stuff Bitcoin has faced, it's only become stronger. It even touches on the block size wars. It talks about removing trusted third parties, why an open source multi-layer application akin to TCP/IP is important, and why other blockchains will not compete with Bitcoin because the true innovation, the true blockchain, which is Bitcoin, every layer will be built on top of censorship-resistant hard cap money. We talk about Bitcoin versus other blockchains. There's a breakdown between Bitcoin versus Ethereum and even other blockchains that haven't lasted. It talks about Bitcoin's fair launch and so much more, which is why I want you guys to read it in its entirety, because I can only do so much on the show. But it really is one of these articles that if you send this to your friends and family, it'll give it some sense of legitimacy, because it's coming from a Fidelity investment house with trillions of dollars under assets, and not just coming from, you know, their friend or their daughter or son or spouse, whatever. And it really does read like an Austrian economics manual. It's beautiful. It says everything we've been saying for years, and it just goes to show that the Bitcoin signal is expanding, that more people are getting this. And like we touched on in the beginning, high net worth individuals aren't stupid. They didn't just get lucky. They aren't just greedy. They understand that there are certain properties to money. There are good investments based on X and Y properties. And so I have a few quotes here, guys. Again, I'm not going to read the whole article because it's 23 pages. It'll take you like 30 minutes. Maybe Guy Swan will read the whole article for you guys. Anyways,
Post that poll. Post that poll, I said.
Yeah, hold on. Let's post this poll. Let's post this poll while we're doing this. Anyways, as we're going, guys, I just took some quotes here for you guys so that you guys can kind of get the idea of what they have said in this 23-page report. And it basically underlying everything we know. So here we go. A few quotes from them. It goes, as more people believe Bitcoin has superior monetary properties and opt to store their wealth in it, demand increases. This in turn leads to higher prices, particularly as supply is inelastic and unresponsive to price. Miners are then incentivized to increase their capital expenditure and computing power, as higher prices lead to higher profit margins. More computing power devoted to Bitcoin mining leads to higher network security, which in turn makes the asset more attractive, leading once again to more users and investors. This network competition is likely to result in a winner-take-all scenario as the network grows and becomes more valuable, because the choice of any other monetary network that does not become the dominant one will result in a loss of investment or opportunity costs. Early investors looking to store value in a monetary good is making a choice as to which monetary network they are opting into, whether they are acknowledging it or not. I believe what they just explained is Thayer's law, that you cannot isolate yourself from the properties of hard money. Well, we know Bitcoin is hard money. We know Bitcoin is digital scarcity in the digital world, and there is nothing that compares to Bitcoin. Anyways, another quote here. Many of the risks and criticisms that could have been used to create a case for the demise of Bitcoin are gone or diminishing, and each day the network grows stronger with more users, miners, and infrastructure being built. We say this all the time. The amount of interest that we are seeing in Bitcoin. We covered the hash rate yesterday. We covered the amount of nodes on the show constantly. We keep telling you guys to run a node to keep the network as decentralized as possible. And we are just seeing so much interest in the Bitcoin. And further, on the negative side, we're seeing so much FUD in regards to Bitcoin that it makes me feel bubbly inside knowing that, yes, we are right. Anyways, the conclusion of the paper, again, they laid out 23 pages of this to finally get to this conclusion. They have the receipts. They have very good breakdowns of this. It goes, conclusion. Traditional investors typically apply a technology investing framework to Bitcoin, leading to the conclusion that Bitcoin, as a first mover technology, will easily be supplanted by a superior one or have lower returns. However, as we have argued here, Bitcoin's first technological breakthrough was not as a superior payment technology, but as a superior form of money. As a monetary good, Bitcoin is unique. Therefore, not only do we believe that investors should consider Bitcoin first to understand digital assets, but that Bitcoin should be considered first and separate from all other digital assets that have followed it. Let's go. Okay, the TLDR, Bitcoin is unique in a superior form of money that investors should consider first and separate from other digital assets, guys. And again, I told you I'd bring you the numbers. Let's talk about Fidelity. We've been covering Fidelity on the show for a while. They've been in the game for a long time. I don't know who the maxis are over there or whether we just orange pilled the people at Fidelity, but by the numbers, they hold 43 million individual investors that use Fidelity. They have $11.7 trillion under under management. They have 4.5 trillion total discretionary assets. So guys, this is no small fry. Fidelity is saying all the quiet parts out loud that we know to be true. They are exposing their audience to a Bitcoin only message. And this paper is beautiful. It reads like a Pierre Rochard, Austrian economic, Mises Nakamoto Institute article, and it explains all the properties of money, why Bitcoin is superior, why Bitcoin can't be touched. And I just love to see that the signal is spreading and more people are understanding that there is Bitcoin and there is shitcoin. And it's not just coming from us. You know, everyone says we are bag holders, that we don't know what's going on. Well, we're not the only ones that understand the message. And here we got Fidelity dropping an article, a full 23-page report at the depths of a bear market, showing to all of their investors that they need to hold Bitcoin. And there is Bitcoin and there is shitcoin. And it really reminds me of the one defining question I asked myself when I was new to Bitcoin and I was holding shitcoin bags. I asked myself, wait, if I'm going to be able to evaluate all these other altcoins, I better understand Bitcoin. And they're saying the same thing. And this is how you get to the center of the Tootsie Pop, is you got to ask yourself first, probably, what is money? And then you find out that Bitcoin is superior money. And then you ask yourself, because there's what? I forget how many numbers of shitcoins now. It's like 10,000 or something, 20,000. You got to ask yourself, what separates Bitcoin from everything else? Why is Bitcoin important? Bitcoin is the first mover, but Bitcoin started this whole thing. And if you don't ask yourself the question, what is Bitcoin, and deep dive the Bitcoin rabbit hole, then you can get lost in the shit coins. You can get wrecked. You can get rug pulled. You might get caught up in an exchange blowing up. But Fidelity knows what we know, guys. There's Bitcoin and there's shitcoin. Anyways, Dale, jump in. What's your thoughts?
I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have people that are boomers, their retirements. You're going to have situations where in the not so distant future, like in the coming year, I suspect, where the HR person says, they post a thing at the in your break room, and I say, hey, the account manager for the 401k, they're going to be coming through. They're going to be asking you questions, taking your questions, seeing if you want to change anything, get set up with a 401k, and you're like, all right, yeah, I guess I should do that. That person's going to come through from wherever, the Fidelity representative, and they're like, all right, hey, come on, sit down. We got 15 minutes to chat. Are you set up with the 401k? It looks like, oh, yeah, you are. Okay, you're putting 5%. All right, that's great, blah, 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 blah. So we've got this new thing that we've got, and it includes Bitcoin. Would you be interested in that? And the conversation will start like that. It'll be, we've got this new option here. We see that you're in our low risk, long term, you're set for a 65-year retirement, but we've got this Bitcoin option. Would you be interested in including that? That's all entirely up to you. It looks like you've got a good thing going here, but would you want to put a piece of that there? And the person on the other side, the worker, is going to go, a year ago, 5 years ago, I would have said no, but I've been hearing about this Bitcoin thing. My son's talking about it. I've heard about it a little bit here. yeah, let's go ahead. Let's allocate a little bit there. Yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. And that's going to go more from sure, why not next year, the following year to, hey, do you have an option for me? I really want that there. You're going to start having these conversations at the dinner table and all the holidays. I truly believe that someone in the chat, multiple people are gonna say in chat in the coming months, hey, I couldn't believe it, but my mom, my dad, my grandma, my uncle, the last few years, I've been the one trying to talk about Bitcoin, but before I said anything, they asked me, hey, how's that Bitcoin thing going? Hey, I heard about this. What happened with FTX? They're going to start asking the questions. And this is why it's so important to educate yourself. This is why I'm commonly telling people, look, I can't tell you what to do with your money. I'm not going to encourage you to do one thing or another. The only thing that I can absolutely morally and ethically and feel good and clean with my soul encourage you to do is just learn something about Bitcoin. At the very least, you'll know something new. That way, the worst case scenario, you'll have some answers for the questions when they do come to you. If you're known as the Bitcoin person in your circle, your friend circle, your family circle, and they come to you and they say, hey, tell me about this Bitcoin thing. It bothers me that we're sending so much money overseas. They're sending the new bills. I saw the debt is something like $20 trillion. No, it's not 20, Grandma. It's closing in on 40. What? It's almost $40 trillion. And they just make that. Yeah, they just hit a button. They just make it. Did you know that? Did you know the Federal Reserve? I heard you say this the other day. It's not federal and they have no reserves. What? Wait a second. What? So they just make money and then they send it away. And I know Mrs. Johnson. She fell last month and she can't even get a doctor's appointment. And they're sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine and now over to the Middle East. What? Mrs. Johnson can't even get seen for a doctor for her hip. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Well, I can't believe this. What we need, Grandma, is a money that they can't print. That we do need that. We sure do. I heard that their Bitcoin thing, there's only 21 million, 15 million or something, then they can't be changed. That's right, Grandma. You've been paying attention. Where'd you hear that? Well, I don't know. I've heard these guys, this Opti guy and the Nico guy. I don't know, I've just tuned in a couple of times. You're like, what? What? This is going to happen. It's coming. It is coming. That is why it's so important for you to have answers to at the very least. Look, I'm not asking you to have answers to every question, but at the very least, have some options for them. Point them in directions. Look, hey, Grandma, look, those are great questions. I don't know, but what I do suggest is you read the Bitcoin Standard. Look, just read that. Heck, it's an audio version. You can listen to it. So have those options, have those routes to send people because it is going to happen. And you don't want to be the person that's like, oh, you should get Bitcoin. You should get Bitcoin. You should get Bitcoin. And then they go, okay, where do I do this? And you're like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't remember what I'm doing. No, that's not a good position to be in. So have some options ready. Have some ideas for them. And it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Fidelity came and talked to me. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, look, I couldn't agree more, and everyone's laughing at the grandma voice. Good job, Dell. But sometimes asking people to read the Bitcoin Standard might be a too big of a task for them. I can kind of agree with that. I know so many friends that bought the Bitcoin Standard for their friends and family, and it just sits there on the coffee table, and it's never been creased. And so that's why I highly recommend you guys read this article so that you can verify that what I'm saying is true and that it is a good piece of work. And then you can send this to your friends and family and be like, look, guys, hey, it's not just me, man. Like Fidelity is saying all the right things. They understand why Bitcoin over shitcoins. They understand that Bitcoin is digital scarcity, that Bitcoin is the best money for the digital world, and that nothing will come close to Bitcoin. And you just love to see it. Like you love to see these big asset managers embrace Bitcoin and not do it in a way where they're, shilling shitcoin bags. Like they understand, as this title itself is called, guys, it is Bitcoin First Revisited, why investors need to consider Bitcoin separately from other digital assets. Guys, we say it all the time. Of course, we're more memers than anything. There is Bitcoin and there is shitcoin, and we're constantly seeing that signal is spreading. So kudos to everyone. Kudos to the CEO. Someone, I think it was Narwhal, said in the chat that she's a orange pilled and she gets what's going on in the world, and you just love to see it. That the signal is catching on, that more and more people are waking up to the idea that Bitcoin is something that needs to be held, and it fixes a lot of the things we are seeing in the digital world. Anyways, before we get into the culture with Dell today, finally we got a Dell rant. Shouts out to the boys over at kaboomracks.com. Go hang out in the Telegram group, t.me/kaboomracks. Buy your ASICs, sell your ASICs, host your ASICs with the boys over at Kaboom Racks. They will give you white glove service. One of my personal friends, Alex from Kaboom Racks, he is constantly in contact with you guys. He is super nice, super knowledgeable. I'm sure if you have questions, they will answer every question. You can buy the latest gen ASIC, and there's actually some new ones coming out. You can sell your old ASICs, they will buy it, or you can host some ASICs with them as well, or just download the Kaboom firmware and get your ASIC running nice and fast and beautiful. Anyways, let's get into the culture. We're going to get another Dell rant, hopefully with some more voices. All right, guys, let's go.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
All you, Dell, all you.
All right, so this one is Tucker posted a clip the other day, and look, there's a lot going on in the world right now. That's a pretty good meme. It showed what it feels like to wake up in 2023, and it showed what's his name, Patrick Stewart. I don't remember his name, Picard. He's sitting there on the bridge, and it says damage report. It's like that's what it's like waking up every day in 2023. And Tucker Carlson was talking about the money being sent over to the Middle East, and I'm talking kind of slow right now because look, I don't want to take a side on this. I don't know. All I know, and I think this is a pretty uncontroversial take, is that the loss of life is a sad thing. I don't care who you are. I don't even care if you're a terrorist. Like I'm not condoning anything, but when somebody dies, it usually saddens somebody that person knows, typically. And that's a sad thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many bad things you've done. That's sad. I think we can agree that the loss of life is typically sad. Yes, bad things should be punished in some way or another. No doubt about that. But death is typically a sad thing. And so when I see money going and funding sad things, to put this in a real simple perspective, that's not good. So here Tucker Carlson was talking about things going on over there. And I'm going to play this clip here because he had Vivek on. And Vivek says it just straight up, exactly what's going on here. So let me play this and yeah, I'll continue.
Willing to explain your views on this and to say something that was unpopular with the reckless morons running our country.
If I want to just say one thing, Tucker,
please go ahead.
I was just thinking about the why on this, right? Because I think that for me, for a long time, looking at this from the outside, I'm not in the world of politics, or I'm in the world of politics now, but for like all of 7 months. Before that, I'm looking at it from the outside in. You wonder why, right? It's a bit of a mystery when you see the Lindsey Grahams or the Nikki Haley's or the John Boltons or the, other people of this persuasion, the Mike Pence's, the Chris Christie wing of this party. Being now in the sport, I think I do have a much better understanding for why it's played the way that it is. It comes down, in most cases, some people do have ideological commitments that are outdated, that are earnest, but a lot of it comes down to money.
Right, it's as plain as day right there. That's exactly what it is. It comes down to money. He goes on to talk about super PACs and a little bit there, and he explains it. But if your interest is making money, and that is a large, because what is money? Money is time. That is all money is. It's time and energy in a thing that you can trade. So if you have more time, if you have more stuff, then you can do more things. That's unarguable. If you have all the money in the world, then you can do whatever you want. If you're Elon Musk, if you're Jeff Bezos, if you're Joe Rogan has talked about this. He said at a certain point, once you hit a certain threshold in money, the world effectively becomes free. You can do whatever you want. You're not thinking, can I buy that sandwich? I need a new pair of shoes, but if I buy them right now, I won't be able to make rent. So I guess I got to hold off. But once you reach a certain point with money, you can do whatever you want. You're like, yeah, I guess I'll get some shoes and I'll order this and whatever. It doesn't really matter. I need to go on a flight. Yeah, sure. That's no big deal. I'll go on a flight. I can do that. It's all free. You get the best doctors, you get whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. And that is why the people in power want to have as much money as possible. That is why they don't give a crap at all about talking about the climate, saying, "Oh, you can't do the climate. You can't burn this. You can't do that." But then they get on a jet and they fly over to Davos to talk about how you can't do the things that they just did, because they don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They're not thinking about this from your perspective. They're thinking about it from their perspective, and their perspective is, "I want power. I want money." And it's not even like a conscious thought. I don't think it's as though they're consciously thinking, "I want to do this, and I'm going to harm other people to get this." I don't think most people think that way. Maybe some of them, but I think the vast majority of the people that are in power just want to stay in power, and they'll do whatever it takes to stay in power. And if that means making bombs go off over here and people dying, well, as long as they're not in the danger zone, the people in power, then they don't care. It's all irrelevant to them. Who cares if a bunch of people that, as far as they're concerned, are nameless, are dying over there? Sure, maybe they see it on Twitter, but like, I see these things on Twitter, this loss of life and super sad, horrible things. And even though I've talked about this before, even though it is sad, it's hard for me to really feel it. I'm not there. I don't know these people, and when you're half a world removed, it's hard to sympathize fully the way that a family member or a friend can. And so, if you're even more desensitized, I was watching a podcast with Tim Dillon, and he was saying that the people in power, they are completely desensitized. And he said, you do need some of these people in the world, and he's right. You do. And he's a comedian. He's making some jokes here, but he's right. You do need some of these psychopaths to make decisions that normal people can't, because there are some really tough decisions. The problem is that when those psychopaths get in power and they have their button on the money printer and they can go, let's just kill more people. That's effectively what it's doing. When they hit that button to print more money, it usually means that more people are dying. That's a problem. The button it's a twofold button. It's not just print more money. It's kill people to print money. Kill people to print money. More people die. More people die. It's just bunt, dead, 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 dead. Oh, and I'm making money. You're taking those people, you're throwing them into a meat grinder, and you're getting money out on the other side. And the people that are doing the button pressing, they don't give a crap. They don't care, because they just get more money. They can buy another home. They can get on another flight, and they can do whatever they want. They can keep the world for them free. The problem is that when people are thrown into that meat grinder, and you and I see that, and then if you're not thrown into truly a meat grinder and dying on the other side, which is the worst case scenario, then you're probably being ground to death slowly, working a job that maybe you don't like, or you're ho-hum about, or maybe if you're lucky you do like, but still it's draining you of time. It's draining your time to feed it to somebody else. That is all this is. It's time. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just is. But some people can move it from you and take it from you and use it for their own wants and wiles. That is why that having money that can't be controlled by some people is so freaking important. There are some people out there that might go, oh, we can't have a money that was created. The best money that we could ever have is gold, because it's natural. It comes from the earth. That's the best possible thing. Okay, if you believe that, then why aren't you riding around on a horse? That's natural. That's God-given. Don't ever get on a plane. If that is your argument, never get on a plane again. Never get in a car. Never wear shoes that you didn't make from bits of leather. That's all natural. Don't use anything that was created. Get off the computer. That was made. Don't use a computer. That was engineered. If you think that the best form of transportation is not a car, is not an airplane, the best way to get across the Atlantic Ocean is in a boat or on a log that was created by nature, then do that. By all means, hey, try and cross the Pacific on sitting on a log and sitting there with this stick. Well, this is great. This is nature provided. You can do that, I guess. I don't think you're going to get all that far. You're going to roll over and die soon, drown. But if you want to try it, hey, by all means. Bitcoin is much like a car, an airplane created. We go, we want to do this thing. Satoshi said, we want to have a money that can't be controlled. So let me create that. Let me take all these different ideas and create this thing. And he did. I believe we're going to have on the show, or an IRL, an author of a book where he talks about this very thing. His name is Terrence. And he was telling me that very thing. He's like, look, we had horses, and horses worked for a long time. Horses are great for getting around, but they don't compare to cars. If you've ridden around in a car, it's a heck of a lot better than a horse. Your butt feels a whole lot better after riding in a car than it does on a horse for 8 hours. So if you're not interested in engineered stuff, then I guess you're stuck living in a cave and effectively homeless. It doesn't sound all that great to me. We can engineer better solutions, and Bitcoin is the best engineered solution that we've ever had for money. And it's a money that doesn't require people to be thrown into a meat grinder. What do you want to support? Do you want to support people dying? Do you want to support death? Do you want to support tragedy and misery and the loss of life and hardship and just absolute abysmal circumstances? Because that is the current situation that we're in. We're in a situation where to get money to people that you don't even know, people that you'll probably never even fucking meet, requires people to die. There is no way to keep this current system in the going without people dying. It can't happen. To make the amounts of money to keep this going that people want requires things like bombs and missiles and rockets and massive warships to be bought. There isn't any way to do that to this scale. We don't need that, but people have gotten so intoxicated with the style of living that they've drummed up ways to generate wealth and to generate money. And they go, oh, what's going to cost a whole lot of money? Because I need my buddy to make a whole lot of money. So how do I get a whole lot of money over to Bob? And Bob goes, well, maybe one of the most expensive things that I could build is a warship. It's going to cost multiple billions of dollars. It's going to launch aircrafts off of it. And those aircraft also cost billions of dollars. Sometimes they cost multiple billions of dollars. And each of those aircraft are going to require pilots, which require millions of dollars of training. And all of them are going to carry munitions, which are millions of dollars. So that's a whole lot of money. And John over here goes, that's a good idea. So you're telling me that if you come up with this whole wackadoo idea that requires billions upon billions of dollars, and I send it to you, but then I invest in your company, and my stock's going to go up because your values, it's like, that seems like a great idea. What are we going to do with all these things? We've got all these bombs and rockets and missiles. What are we going to do? And people aren't going to go for it if we don't need those things. They're not going to be happy with just sitting in a shipyard or just sitting around. No, you're right. How about we come up with a reason for using these things? What reason could that be? Well, let's get people to fight each other. Let's start getting people to kill each other. That seems like a real good idea. Hey, wonderful. We'll get people to attack each other, and then we'll go in and save the day by bombing the ever-loving fuck out of them, and then that'll be a reason for us to print more money. Brilliant. Oh, look, we've created the perfect world. We can bomb the shit out of each other until the cows come home, or even if after they come home, and just keep on going and making a fuck ton of money so that we can keep on bombing each other. Wonderful. Look, I only ask one thing. Keep it all over there, okay? As long as we keep it over there, then we're good to go. All right, let's bomb the ever-living shit out of that part of the world and stay safe at home. I'm going to chill at Martha's Vineyard, smoke cigars, and sip wine, and then those people can blow the fuck out of each other. Great. Wonderful. What a good deal. Does that sound fun? Doesn't sound fun to me. It sounds terrible. Look, I don't even know those people, and it sounds like a really fucking terrible idea. How about none of that? How about we lock all of our money and time into money called Bitcoin that was engineered to be peaceful, say no to all that bullshit, and keep it here? Look, one of the most interesting, there's so many interesting things about Bitcoin, and I talked about this in a recent video, but Opti and I were talking to Peter Dunworth, and it blew my mind. I never made this connection before, but you can help the rest of the world by being greedy. The more greedy you are with Bitcoin, it helps the rest of the world. How? Well, as Indigo, or whatever his name is, over in India, he's never met you. You never will meet him. He's over there on the complete other side of the world. How do you help him? Well, you could send him a bunch of money, but that requires money to send. So we're back to the meat grinder situation, where you're printing money to send it over to Indigo and blah, blah, blah. How about this? How about we have a finite amount of money? You try to get as much as you can. Indigo tries to get as much as he can. He can only get a tiny little stack because he makes peanuts a day. That doesn't fucking matter. Does not fucking matter. Because you working at McDonald's or Home Depot or where the fuck that you work, you getting your stack helps Indigo because the value of it goes up. And then Michael Saylor, he gets a bigger stack than both of you by orders of magnitude. It helps everyone because you're all clawing. Yeah, give me some of that. Give me some of that. Give me some of that. Everybody's trying to get some of that. And it helps everyone. What? Being self-interested, going after what it is that you want will help that guy over there because he's also going after the same thing? Incredible. Who would have thought of this? Well, an engineer would have thought of this. An engineer would have thought of this. Somebody that said, hey, all of this money that we have right now is currently fucked beyond oblivion. How about we make something that encourages mutual respect, mutual benefit for everyone across the globe? How do we do that? Well, I don't know how Satoshi figured it out. I truly don't know how he figured it out, but he did. And here we are. And it does help everyone. So it blows my mind that people say that that Bitcoin was invented by the NSA or the CIA. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. And you meant, oh, the CIA is all bad. It's all the okay. Look, the entity itself, just like government, might be all bad, but there are individuals within those entities that are good people. It's like saying that this entire city is bad because they did a bunch of bad things. Really? 100% of the people there are bad? It's hard to believe. 100% of this place is all bad? I don't know about that. I don't know if we could look at any society, any large group of people and say 100% of them should be removed from existence. Maybe the ideology, maybe the way of thinking should be removed from existence, but everyone, boy, that's a real short-sighted view. That's almost like saying that the way that we fix all of the ills in the world is by printing all the money in the world. Really? That's how we fix that? I don't think so. I think the way that we fix the world is slow and gradual, but it requires people adopting a new system. And you can do that by getting off the fiat bullshit that we're in and get on to a Bitcoin standard. Look, I don't know if Bitcoin is the answer to all the world's ailments. I really don't. I truly don't. But what I do know for a fucking fact is that the current system that we're in, fiat is a problem. There's not a single doubt in my body. There's not a single iota of hesitation that says the current system that we're in is fucked beyond recognition. That I do know. And is Bitcoin the best answer? It's the best one that I've seen. It's the best one that I am aware of. None of these other shit coins have any chance of fixing this. No other money. Gold can't do it. Nothing else can possibly do it. Is there something better on the horizon? 100 years, 300 years, 1,000 years into the future when I'm long gone and we're inhabiting other solar systems? I don't know. Maybe we'll find some magical element that works exactly like Bitcoin, but also has tangible elements to it, and we can just materialize it and transfer it that way. Maybe there's some alien civilization that works in the fifth dimension that we're going to interact with because they come down and they talk to us. I don't know, but that's a long ways off. We're here, we're now, and the best possible thing that we have in front of us is staring us in the goddamn faces. And if you're too stupid to see it, then I have no hope for you. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure what to tell you. Why are you here? Look, take some time. At the very fucking least, read the Bitcoin standard. And if you're like, this doesn't make sense, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Wow. Love it, Del. Love it. Love that we had a culture where Del can just rant. Beautiful. Okay, a few things that we constantly touch on the show that Del just kind of covered. We all know what the mechanism of money printing is. And as I said, I think it was the beginning on Monday, I did that meme with Ron Paul, and it's a quote that it's no coincidence that the bloodiest era is the era that is backed by the money printer, guys. And you got to remember what the mechanisms for war were before we hit the fiat standard. They would have to get the approval of you, the individual out there, because the only way they can go to war is to tax you more so that they can fund the war. And personally, I think that most people are good people and they do not want to go to war. They do not want to kill people. They do not want to rob people. And so they would most likely not agree with any of the stuff that we are seeing. And now with money printing, they can just print more money out of thin air and send it to wherever they want to fund whatever they want. And personally, I don't agree with this. This is why I've opted out. This is why we always say that Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution. It is the separation of money and state. And if there's a small cabal of people that can control the money supply and further create literal money out of thin air, or rather create money literally out of thin air to fund all kinds of crazy stuff without your consent, and via that mechanism make you poorer in regards so that you have no hope going into the future, it's just like it's so obvious to me that taking away the power of the money printer is how we can start to set the world straight. We're so far off the cliff right now that it's hard to see what is up from down, and it's made worse with all the misinformation that we're seeing from the corporate press and the fact that they literally have unlimited money to fund whatever they want and just continue to gaslight you and confuse you. And look, man, I'm really not familiar with any of the intricacies and nuances of what's going on in the world, but I am just purely anti-war in general. And I just find it very interesting that as everyone is losing their mind right now, it really does feel like only the Bitcoiners are the ones with cool level heads. And I've been saying it for a while, you know, sats are my stable coin. Like sats are my stability, like Bitcoin being stable. And it's literally stable right now. You know, we're in a crab market. It's going sideways. It's as stable as anything else in the world. It's just like, I can just look to the Bitcoin fundamentals, look to myself, like you said, you know, the enlightened self-interest of just getting my mind right, my body right, my financials right, and not worrying about what other people are doing. This is how more of us can stay healthy, stay calm, stay collected in a world that is continuously going mad. Like it really does feel like the average person has gone just gone so ballistically crazy right now. Like, you know, there's always a new psyop. There's always a new concern that we have to, you know, be involved with. And like, as a Bitcoiner that is always been apolitical, like I've realized one wisdom. It's like, I don't have to have an opinion on everything. And I know everyone wants to pick sides and everyone's trying to force you to pick sides. Well, this is why we say, opt out of this and use Bitcoin. Like, if you do not believe in war, if you do not believe in what's going on, and whether you do believe it or not, like, I fundamentally think that if you opt out and you view the world objectively from the Bitcoin standard, you can agree to one point. The fiat system is absolutely fucked. It's absolutely corrupted, distorted. And there needs to be a new way of doing things, a new way to organize humanity, a new way to organize the populations, and not by one single cabal of interested, wealthy people. This is a decentralized movement. This is everyone doing what's best for themselves. And by doing what's best for yourself, the world will figure out all of the big problems. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. And I really do believe in Bitcoin as the peaceful revolution. If you do not believe in war, if you do not believe in bombing people on the other side of the world via your taxes, then you need to take action today. You need to opt out. You need to download a Bitcoin wallet, whether it's Blue Wallet or Phoenix Wallet on your phone, and you need to start stacking in Bitcoin. Try to get paid in Bitcoin. The most important thing we can be doing is spreading the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, separating money and state, explaining the principles of freedom to people, because we're in crazy times, guys. And I look out in the world and I see everyone losing their minds, and selfishly and almost with guilt, I'm like, man, life's good. I feel good. I'm on the Bitcoin standard. I see the world clearly through the Bitcoin lens. And I would love this for more people. Hence why it's so important for us to show up every day. Hence why it's so important for you guys to spread the signal, whether it's through memes, whether it's through articles, whether it's through content, whether it's just by planting the ideas of freedom money. Bitcoiner and Bitcoin in general is helping the world in real time. And it may not be happening as fast as we want it to, but it is happening, as you can tell, guys. Anyways, epic rant, Del. Really appreciate it. Let's get into the memes, because we could probably rant on this all day, and it's a hairy topic. So just much love to everyone out there. Make sure you're stacking sats. Make sure you're downloading Bitcoin wallets. Yes, make sure you are self-interested and looking out for what's best for you. And not worrying about your neighbor's pocketbooks or what your neighbor's doing. Do what's best for you guys. And this will help the world get on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, let's get to meme review.
The Daily Meme Review.
Wow. Tangent. We try to avoid these topics as much as possible, but Del, great job on breaking it down so it's not like we're being biased or anything. It's becoming very clear that we are in a very dystopian spiral, and it's all coming from the debt spiral, guys. It's all coming from the unlimited money printer that they had. Anyways, let's lighten the mood here a little bit, guys. Let's get back to basics here and entertain you and make sure that you're laughing, that you know that your head's on right, that we have the signal. As we say all the time, tweets are the bullets, memes are the artillery, and spreading the Bitcoin signal to as many people as possible, getting Bitcoin into as many people's hands as possible is the most important thing. Making sure more people are downloading Bitcoin wallets is the most important thing, because as we say all the time, it is Bitcoin or it is slavery, or rather we have doubled down. It is Bitcoin or it is death, guys. So continue to see memes on Twitter. Drop them in our Telegram, t.me/simplybitcointv, or tag me on Twitter at simplybitcointv, or tag my personal account at Optimus Fields, and I will bring them on the show. If I don't get to them, maybe tag me again. I only got so much space here on the show. Anyways, first meme is by GoldLeader89, and he doesn't write anything in the tweet, but I knew I was going to talk about Jim Kramer today, and this is the vibe. This sums up everything I said on today's show. We got, Mel Gibson as Braveheart, and he goes, hold, and then the next one's hold, and you guys remember that scene, and then Jim Kramer goes, Mr. Bitcoin is about to go down big, and then it's the next scene, it's buy. If this isn't the best time to stack, if you didn't stack your balls off when you saw this counter indicator, I don't know what will make you buy Bitcoin, because hopefully this is the last sacrifice we need for the bull run to come. And if Jim Kramer's reputation precedes him, we're about to be seeing a glorious, glorious bull run. Shouts out to Jim Kramer. Shouts out to the inverse Jim Kramer ETF. We finally got that Bitcoin tick on there. Anyways, next one is by Maxie's Club. And we got a Bitcoiner here with his family, and it goes, my family thinking I'm going to live a normal life, and then it zooms in on the Bitcoiner, and it goes, me knowing about the upcoming economic collapse, just hoping not to die in a guerrilla war. It really be like that. We literally had this conversation yesterday in Spaces of like, man, we really just want to opt out and live a peaceful life, but the way things are going, it's getting pretty hairy out there. But opt out, join the peaceful revolution, stop using war bucks, fiat money, paper money that funds war. Opt out into a money that cannot be debased, that cannot be stolen from you, so that they can fund war. Join the peaceful revolution, separate money from state, and get on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, next one meme is by Mitchell Hotto, and it goes, defund war, choose Bitcoin. And we got a picture of some $100 bills here, and it goes, steal, aka inflation. And then we got a picture of some army infantry, and it goes, kill the military industrial complex. And then we have a picture of a war-torn place, and it goes, destroy, endless wars. And I guess it's still getting a little somber. I don't think it is a coincidence that we are basically in a recession, maybe in a depression, and now we have what's looking like a new world war to get us out of that recession. Kickstart the money printer, kickstart the production. It happened in World War II. Maybe it'll happen in World War III. I hope not. I hope not. Anyways, the next one is by Smeet_bot, and he goes, he's beginning to believe. And Dell touched on this in the news. And again, of course, this is a Matrix meme, cliche Bitcoin show with the Matrix memes. And it goes, when a friend says they started buying Bitcoin, and we have, what's her name again? How am I blanking on her name? The girl that Neo loves, Trinity. Yeah, how could I forget Trinity's name? And we got Trinity, and she goes, what is he doing? And we got Morpheus, he's beginning to believe. This is where we are right now. The world is beginning to believe the Bitcoin signal, or rather the masses are starting to believe the Bitcoin signal. You are early, you have the asymmetric knowledge, you put in the work, hence why you have been stacking, hence why you will continue to stack, and help more and more people begin to believe. And the last meme is by Dell, aka Deliopera on Twitter, and he goes, hashtag Bitcoin is monetary protection. And I think this is an AI picture here of a golden knight with a gold Bitcoin shield in front of him. Bitcoin is your protection, guys. If you do not like what's going on in the world, if you are feeling like your purchasing power is getting destroyed, if you feel the pain of inflation, you need to hold some Bitcoin, because the world is going crazy and you need some stability. And in a world where fiat money is able to get printed out of control, You want to hold something that cannot be debased, that is stable, that doesn't change, that we know the monetary policy of, that is censorship resistant. And of course, this is Bitcoin. Anyways, drop your meme review score on that side, and we will cover them live. So you can see I get confused because usually the mic's on this side. Okay. Anyways, my meme review score for today is let's go. Okay. I haven't used one of these in a minute. I'm surprised my dad has one on his desk. We're going to use the Bic Whiteout Easy Correct for pens. I like haven't even wrote anything down in so long. I do it all on my phone or my computer. Anyways, Dale, what's your meme review score for today?
Oh God, this should have been in the memes, but you ready for this one?
Can you pop it up? My God. Read the tweet too.
This is 10 times meaner than anything anyone has said about her on Twitter.
Explain it a little more for the audio listeners.
So audio listeners, right now we've got a picture of what's her name? Carolyn Ellis? Carolyn
Ellison, I think, maybe.
Ellison. Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend at one point, and she's here in the courtroom, maybe mid answering a question, and her eyes are a bit low. She's got a very large forehead in the image. The sun, the lights, the courtroom lights are gleaming off of her smooth domed forehead. And the facial structure and the placement of the ears reminds me a lot of Sloth from the Goonies. So if you can picture Sloth from the Goonies and then just add some long hair and glasses, you basically got the picture here.
Yeah, that courtroom artist chose violence on that one. Sheesh. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. All right. Anyways, guys, drop your meme review score in the chat on that side, and we'll cover it live. But of course, get yourself some Simply Bitcoin merch. I am rocking the orange Simply Bitcoin hoodie. Everyone in our Telegram saying that I still look like Kenny. It's not as warm right now. It's a little cool. I got the overcast, front coming in, but get yourself some merch, guys. We have t-shirts, we have hoodies. We will get you guys hats soon. We will be collabing with some Bitcoin artists. We will be getting you guys some female cuts so they look, a lot more form-fitting for the ladies out there. But guys, we really appreciate the support. If you want to keep us as independent as possible, we would appreciate you guys supporting us with some merch. But of course, stack some sats first if you want to be a walking billboard for not just Simply Bitcoin the show, but the message that it is simply Bitcoin. There is Bitcoin and there is shitcoin. It is simply Bitcoin, not just us, but it's about spreading that signal to more and more people, because everyone out there doesn't know about Simply Bitcoin. They'll just read the t-shirt, Simply Bitcoin, and be like, oh, maybe, what's this mean? Anyways, guys, let's get to the meme review scores for today. And of course, I do have the music for you. Here we go. All right, guys. First meme review score is by my boy Planet Earth, and he goes, meme score. For those keeping track, U.S. theft returns are due in T-minus 131 hours. Estimate for those in the fiat gulags. Good luck, criminals. Okay, bro. Next one, Phil C. I give these memes a Bitcoin that is for everyone, like it or not. Yes, agree. Okay. Next one is by Narwhal Tacos. He goes, I give those memes Dell's grandma's fresh baked banana bread. If you know, you know. Yeah, that sounds delicious. Let's see. All right, Satwise Jenks. I give these memes Dell's rant for the ages today. Let's go. Next meme review score is by McLovin. And it goes, meme score, I'm eating dog food sandwiches until I reach my BTC goal. Oh, man. Okay. Did I miss one? Let's see. I think I didn't run out of scores, guys. It was the buzzer. The buzzer came. Anyways, really appreciate every single one of you guys. We will be back to our normal show tomorrow. Dell, what's up with you? Do you have a video? What's coming up on the docket for the Simply Bitcoin OG clips?
Yeah, I've got one. You talking about nodes, I think it was yesterday, got me thinking about how important that is. And so I made a video. It's over with our editors handling that one. And I'm talking about having your own node It's kind of like having a girlfriend that you build a relationship with, and having a public node or using a public node is like going to a questionable part of town and finding somebody on the side of the road saying that they're a good time and you're going to be totally good and safe with them. So yeah, you could trust her, but you don't have to. So why would you do that?
Perfect. Love it. Oh, Matthew said I skipped his score. I didn't skip your score. I missed it. My meme review score is 1 Bitcoin hat. I already told you we are going to get those for you guys. It's on Dell's head. Wait, on Dell's head. We'll get you guys some soon. I know we're lagging on it, but we'll get that going for you guys. Anyways, Dell, thank you for coming on the show. We will see you on the YouTube timeline and next week. 2 weeks from now. Anyways, guys, we appreciate it. I know the background isn't what it usually is. It's not the same production we usually have. I am back at my parents' house for a little bit, so I've overtaken my dad's office. Anyways, we will be back for our normal show tomorrow. Like, share, subscribe. Don't just share Simply Bitcoin stuff. Share all Bitcoin signal, because apparently you can tell that most people still don't know that Bitcoin is the solution to the madness. You have to get on the Bitcoin standard. And once you get on the Bitcoin standard, as the meme goes, you don't change Bitcoin. Bitcoin changes you. We are changing the world one block at a time. Download Bitcoin wallets. Make sure your friends are downloading Bitcoin wallets. This is the way. This is how we opt out of the madness. Anyways, we love you guys. Peace out. We will see you tomorrow.